Hello, Daisy Cakes. This is Daisy X Machina, the drag queen detective who investigates all things speculative in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. And this is a Get Ready With Me where I get into drag to film a video later today. And Frank is here. Thank you for joining us, Frank. And Lynette's here. Yay. Thank you both for joining. You're always here. I am always appreciative. I hope you've had a happy holiday since I last saw you. Um, I had my husband's, well, I had my sister-in-law, brother-in-law, and father. There's actually Dennis, my husband has two, not two families, but his father has a uh, a son and daughter from a different marriage. Anyway, so they were here for Christmas, and it's a lot of fun getting to know them and getting to see them. I am not used. My sister-in-law Jackie has a 2-year-old girl. I'm not used to being around such small people, um, but she was cute. It was interesting. Um, I think she's on some type of autism spectrum. Which what does that mean? We're all on some type of spectrum. Um, but it was interesting because Jackie was saying how she wasn't like walking or speaking for the age she was in until she enrolled her in some type of daycare. And suddenly she was like, I guess, copying the other kids and was like standing and doing all that stuff. Cool Gamer is here. Yay. I had a friend staying for me for 4 days over Christmas, so I didn't finish a single book. Yeah. Speaking of which, I still haven't finished Wind and Truth, and I released it as my number one book of 2024. But, and I should have made this clear when I did the video, but oh well. It really was a proxy for the entire Stormlight 5-book series, so that it includes like the whole thing when I placed it there. Although it still probably is the best book I've read in 2024. Anyway, how is your reading going this week? After all that, one thing about being around in 2 years, 2 years as an infant, right? Um, it's really interesting that they have this like computer. It's like shaped like a notepad, but it's like encased in rubber, so it's kid friendly. But they would just play YouTube Kids, which is like the alphabet song and things like that, and she would quiet just like that. So I don't know if I'll live that this long, but I just wonder what this next generation that is literally growing up on screens, what they're going to do for what they're going to do. Because I imagine, they're going to go from the little kiddie screens to bigger screens to phones or whatever. Although, Lynette, you can tell me, I think in Australia, didn't they ban screens for up to a certain age or something? I don't know. Halfway through the book about the British Post Office scandal. Oh, I remember you talking about that last week. Fish and visitors begin to stink after 3 days. Rank. In fact, they were here for 3 days. They came on they left on actually they left yesterday. What's today? They left on the 27th, the 4 days. They were here for 4 days. Okay. Um, so I was going to film sort of the some bookends around videos where I want to put all my top 100 science fiction authors together and top 100 fantasy authors together, but I don't want to like repeat those intros and closings. And then I'm going to do one of two things today. I'm going to do either the Shove It or Shove It for February, or a, I don't want to call it Shove It or Shove It, but actually, what should I call this? I want to review the retro Hugos starting back to 1939 and picking one book to read. Should I just call it Retro Hugo TBR, Shove It or Shove It? Because I'm not going to pick just by the covers, because the covers are awful. A couple months ago, when I had this idea, I think I mentioned it here, but I started downloading pictures of the covers, which I was mostly just from Wikipedia. So I have this, and I sorted it by year. So I have this folder filled with the, I guess, the original covers, and they're all pretty bad. So I'm not going to pick books by the cover. So I will be reading the blurbs and about the authors, and I'm probably going to skip books that I've already read. So I'm either going to do that or Shove It or Shove It, or maybe I'll do both if I'm feeling really ambitious, but probably not going to be that ambitious. Reading something deeply hidden by Sean Carroll. It's Quantum Mechanics for Dummies. Oh, that's interesting. I think I remember you mentioning that before. They're trying to ban, here we are. They're trying to ban social media for children under 16 in Australia. I'm not sure how they can do that. Yeah, I don't know how they would enforce that. I've added a book about the water in Flint. Yipes. Talking about Flint, Michigan. Okay, so I was going to do blue, but I'm wondering if I should do multiple colors. Blue, let me see. Well, I've done blue and pink a lot. They work well. Blue and orange work okay. Purple and orange work better, but I really wanted blue. I'll just do blue and pink. But the question is, should I do just blue on the outside and pink cut, or vice versa? I think I'm just going to start just doing blue. We'll see. And then I'll decide later. The book about Flint was written by a YouTuber. Oh, interesting. Trump will save TikTok. I don't know if it's about the money or not, Frank, because I think there was like he had some support on TikTok during the election or something, so it's sort of a thing for his followers. Anyway. Yeah, I think it's more personal than money, because I don't think Trump's going to get any money from TikTok. Oh, I know what I was going to say about social media. It's actually illegal in the United States. It's called the Child Online Protection Act or something. And I went through this when I was running my game, Listernia. There's you cannot collect data on children in the United States, and that's for 12 and under. That includes emails. So children 12 and under, it's illegal to have them sign up to have companies collect things like email addresses. So children cannot have TikTok accounts or Twitters or Facebooks or YouTubes under their own email address. But of course, that doesn't prevent them from browsing social media. It's just meant to prevent participating in social media, but not, I don't know. But yeah, companies can't collect emails for games or newsletters or. But yeah, if Australia bans social media for 16 and under, they could do the same thing in banning the being able to create accounts. Although kids can lie. But how do you prevent them accessing social media? It's like browsing YouTube or Twitter or whatever. Oh man, these are so uneven. Oh well, I don't care. Seems like the Flint water is still off. Talking about the lead pipes. It was Grosse Pointe, Michigan. It never could have happened if it was Grosse Pointe, Michigan. They banned assault rifles, and it worked through the pro-gun. People screamed bloody murder, and it worked though the pro. Okay, cool. I think that it's up to parents to control their children's internet access. Our computer was in the lounge room until my sons were old enough to save and buy their own computers. Yeah, back in my day, we didn't have computers. Well, we didn't have what we know now as computers, but I did have a, God, this is a callback, a TRS-80, which was a home computer that was set up with it was from Radio Shack, and it was set up with a cassette player, because that's how you stored all your stuff. Um, but I think it's different now. Oh, it's way different now. But like I was saying, this 2-year-old girl giving her this little computer screen that just would quiet. She would just shut up, or I shouldn't say shut up, but she would just calm down, immediately after getting that. And I don't know if she was watching it or paying attention. I do know she liked banging the buttons. Okay. But if it's easy to, as a parent, to uh, calm your kids down through giving them screens, I could see parents doing that because it's so exhausting. Having a kid being upset or crying or whatever. If there's a way to just quiet them down. TRS-80 makes me laugh to hear. I think they call it trash 80s. I paid for the computer in the lounge room they had rationed use of. Yeah, I assume, Lynette, that was during the 90s. Because that's when like real computers were. Making their way. Yes, during the 90s. You paid for the laptop, not the room. Right. Hey, Zero. Daisy, what are some of your favorite, most underrated fantasy authors that most people should read? There are so many. My youngest son didn't buy his own computer to about 2000 or 2001. Okay, underrated fantasy authors. I don't know why, but there's like Karen Miller, who wrote my favorite sort of dark anti-hero story, Empress. I don't think she ever like made a big name for herself. Sarah Ash, really great writer. I don't think people really notice. Holly Lyle. Oh gosh, there's so many fantasy authors that just never took off. And it's not because their writing was any. I think in the business, the publishing world, there's just so much luck involved. Um, yeah, anyone jump in? Underrated fantasy authors. Uh, gosh, Judy Fisher, I think that was her name. Really good. I don't know why I'm naming all women. I can't think of a man. Maybe that says something. I don't know. Sarah Douglas. I think Sarah Douglas may be more of a name than the others. Um, we'll soon read The Golden Compass about 30 years after first published. I really love that book. Someone in my comments said that it was actually originally an adult book. I don't know, but I'm starting Peter Pan after I finish my current book. I haven't read Peter Pan since I was a child. Yay, you see Miller books all the time. Now, I haven't, since read on my Kindle a lot, I don't go to a bookstore that often. So I don't know if she's sold in bookstores, but if you can get The Empress, really good. A first edition of Peter Pan in good condition. Thousands, I'm sure. I don't read enough fantasy to give recommendations. Always hunting for hidden gems. Well, what type of fantasy do you like, Zero? Hey there, they call me Shay Shay Girl. I found you because I was trying to find people who read The City of Glass by Nevo. Have you read it yet? No, I haven't, and I would like to because I've only read one book by Nevo. Um, which wasn't my favorite book actually, but it was I think Siren Queen, the one about the Hollywood and magic. But I've heard so much about Nevo that I want to read more. She's always in secondhand stores. There we go. Yeah. But pick up The Empress. It's part of a trilogy, and I don't think you really need to read the rest of the trilogy, but you can if you want. Um, it's called The Riven Kingdom. I did do a top 100 fantasy authors, and many of them, not many of them, but some of them were not as well known as I thought they should be. You know, like Karen Miller, like Holly Lyle. Like Martha Wells. And I know she's a big name now because of Murderbot, but she wrote some books before Murderbot that never got any traction that I thought were really good, that were sort of sci-fi fantasy blends. But I am planning on taking all those 100 fantasy authors and combining them together into one video. Oh, one book I would recommend is Plot On, Sleepless Giant. Love the title, which is about the elephant who turns the world and the race of people who look after him. Oh, I love that. Huh. I like Carol Berg, Robin. I love Robin Hobb. Louis Bujold. I haven't read Carol Berg. I've read, I think you're spelling that wrong, but some of my favorites. Uh, Lex is here. Hey, Lex. Hope the holidays have been good. Thank you. Mine were very good. Hope yours was as well. Oh, Plot On is a cozy fantasy. Brand new subgenre of fantasy. Janny Wirtz. Now, I agree. Janny Wirtz is great. Is she? I kind of consider her more better known because of the Rift World Daughter of the Empire series, which I think it's the best. Raymond Feist was a co-author, but I think it was the best of the Midkemia Rift World books. And I think it was because Janny Wirtz was the writer. That's what I do. Plot on. That's what we all do. I watched the video. I found some authors I had heard of. Oh, great. And hearing good things about those books. One author I like. Oh, Stephen Bachman. If I am remembering right, isn't he a middle grade author? Because I've read Cinders and Crows, which was quite well done, but it was middle grade. Murderbot are, this is what I hate about Murderbot. It's they charge the same as a novel, even though those are novellas. But yeah, they are novellas. So they're very fast to read. They're fun to read. I read or I listened to the second one as an audiobook. I need to do a video of comics I enjoy. Yes. That old band Bachman Turner Overdrive. Really? The author? Okay, anyway. Oh, Mickey Rooker's Reichert? Mickey Zucker Reichert. Anyway, the series is called The Last of the Renshai, Renshai. Love that series so much. Melanie Ron, I don't think is very well known. C.S. Friedman. I guess her books are more sci-fi. Okay, let me... Oh, Frankie and his dumb jokes. Bachman is middle grade, but I think his latest is YA. Someone in my writing group just started Six of Crows by Lee Bardugo. And full disclosure, the only thing I've read from Lee Bardugo is the Six of Crows duology with, I forget the second book's name, Hollow Kingdom, is that it? And I liked them quite a bit. But the writing group I'm in is middle grade writers, and she was like, "Oh, this, I don't like violence against children." And I was like, "Well, I think Six of Crows was kind of violent." I don't know if you guys have read it, but when I read it, my biggest complaint was I did not think this was a YA novel because all the characters to me felt like they were in their at least 20s, if not 30s, but they were all aged down to young adult age, which is somewhere between 16 and 18, but their personalities felt really adult to me. So I've always wondered if Lee Bardugo didn't write like an adult fantasy series that the publisher just insisted she age the characters down so they could fit it into young adult. Has anyone read Curse of Shelion? I did not sound familiar. Zero. Have to name the author. Heard crows are really smart. They are. They can talk, can't they? My New Year's resolution is all about spending less money. Good resolution. I'm going to read those and the Grisha books. I haven't read the Grisha books, so I don't know if I want to start like a big series. I need to darken this up somehow. But I did see the Netflix series, which I liked. I liked the Netflix series. which was really weird because they combined Six of Crows with those Grisha novels. Oh, and by the way, for those wondering about Six of Crows, it's actually a genre blend between fantasy and heist. It's actually a heist storyline. Anyone read Gone World by Sweaterlish? I have not heard of that. You have to tell us more about that one, Frank. Okay, I'm going to use a little bit of black. Oh, I saw. Did I mention this last week? I forget when I saw it. I saw Wicked. I am a huge fan of the Wicked novels by McGuire, which, by the way, is a totally different story than the musical. Well, I guess in broad strokes, it's the same story, but it's a lot different as a novel. But I had seen Wicked in San Francisco, the theatrical Broadway version, um, which starred Patty Duke as Madame Morrible when I saw it, and she was fantastic. So anyway, so I saw the movie version. I hope it does well. I saw it in the theater. There's a one of the casinos in here in Vegas have like these $5 matinees. So Dennis and I went to the $5 matinee. I have to say, I don't think Ari- Ariana Grande has sort of the gravitas of the of Glinda from the theatrical version. And I know they're supposed to be teenagers, but they're never played. They're played by grown women on the theatrical versions. But there's still this. Glenda to me sort of had this gravitas of a character that I just don't think Ariana Grande had, and I also don't think the movie version. I don't know how they stretched it out so long. I don't know why they stretched it into two parts, but but they kept a lot of the theatrical version, which I don't think worked for the movie. Like there were these jokes that really landed when you saw it in a theater with a live audience that didn't really, to me, land in the movie. But I always say that that line, the medium is the message, where the medium of storytelling is just as important and needs to um, transform the story you're telling, like from from Wicked the book, which is great, to Wicked the theatrical musical, which is great, to Wicked the movie, which I don't think was transformed enough. But I assume it's doing well in the theater. I haven't really been keeping track, but it had like all that publicity, and my hope is that that will sell books. That people will pick up the Wicked book, even though it may be a little adult um, for the unexpected reader who are expecting sort of a young adult storyline. Okay. First heard of it a couple days ago. Incredible reviews. Don't know how I missed it. Talking about Wicked. Oh, Trudy Canavan. I always recommend her first Black Mage, Black Magician series. It's kind of a romantasy. If you don't like romantasies, you might not like it. But her last series, I don't know if I would recommend or not, but it was such an interesting read because it had these two main characters. Gosh, I can't remember the name of the series. It's the last series she wrote. But they had the two main. I'll look it up. I don't want to talk about a series. I don't remember them. But it was. Oh, Trudy Canavan is an Australian writer. Oh, she's best-selling author. Okay, so was it The Traitor Spy? Yeah. It's called Millennium's Rule. But they have these two main characters, a man and a girl. And if you're a regular fantasy reader, you're thinking, okay, this is going to be a romance. And they're eventually, these two storylines are going to come together. And then they're going to do their thing. They almost never come together. It's so weird. It's like these two storylines about this man and the woman. You kind of feel they probably should be together romantically, and they do once in a while bump into each other, but they rarely do. It's the weirdest story, and it's the magic system is I forget what you call a magic system where they hop planets, but they actually jump from planet to planet. Um, it's interesting, really interesting. But I also read her Age of Five trilogy with the Priestess in White. Very good. I did not know there was a Doctor Who Christmas special, Lynette. And I subscribe to the Disney Channel, which I assume is where you can see it here in the United States. So I am. Well, I had guests over, so I guess I wasn't paying attention to that type of thing. But is it good? I definitely have to check it out. Yeah, look at the movie. Isn't on the top of my list. I mean, it's okay. Once again, I don't think Ariana Grande was the right person for Glinda. Much prefer to see it live at the theater. Read more mystery authors and fantasy authors. Okay, we're always recommending Flavia de Luz for mysteries. Oh yeah, yeah. It's definitely It's a story of the witch, which they call Alphaba on from the Wizard of Oz movies. And interestingly enough, the what McGuire based it on was more of the movie than the books. But yeah, it goes in a totally different direction than either. What is a good doctor doing at Christmas? Doctor's been Christmas for years. Yeah, he does. I should have thought to look up a Christmas special because it's been. I don't know when they started it. It's definitely during the new Doctor, not the original Doctor, the classic Doctors. I don't think she does porn. Maybe on AI. Maybe they've caught her with AI porn. Ariana Grande was the one. I guess she was a young teenager. I hope she was because they caught her like licking donuts in donut shops that she did not buy. She was like licking them and then like people would buy them. Anyway, it was kind of gross. She's that one, but I hope she's grown up since then. Um, I always loved Doctor Who, and I don't know, Frank, if it's if you need to have started watching it when you were of a certain age. Although I think the writing is really strong in either the classic Doctors and the new Doctors, especially for me the Tom Baker years, the Fourth Doctor, and for the new Doctor it's the David Tennant years. I think if you start watching them for the story and the acting, you may just like it. You need some books from Half Price Books. Oh, you're actually in a bookstore. Ships passing the night. I really enjoyed this Doctor Who's Chris. Okay, I'm going to look it up, Lynette. I'm going to trust you. Kushiel's Dart, so I may enjoy it. Whoops, what are we talking about? I love Kushiel's Dart. Again, very adult and very unconventional. I love the world building. It's sort of a reimagining of a fantasy world based on French. Um, or based on France, ancient France, not ancient France, but early France. Never heard of this one, Lynette. 1965 Doctor Who's Christmas special, The Feast of Stephen. And then what? Okay, it's one of the lost Doctor Who specials. Okay, I need to do this makeup. I think I'm fine with this blue, and I think I am going to go with the pink cut crease. Oh, Dennis and I started watching last night the new Squid Game. Such a bizarre. It's a. It's on Netflix. It's a Korean. Um, I was thinking, is it speculative? It feels speculative, but I guess it's more of like a thriller, horror thriller. That was a phenomenon a couple years ago, but the second season has just been released on Netflix. So that's what we were watching. Started watching the first Star Trek series in seventh grade, but didn't stay with it. I was just the opposite. Well, I was pretty young when Star Trek came out because I vaguely remember seeing it mostly at my cousin's house because they had a color TV and it was in color, which, for those of you who are younger, was was a thing. Um, but I was obsessed with Star Trek. I would watch it over and over and over again on reruns. Can't go wrong with pink. One of the highlights of my childhood was sitting on the school front steps discussing Doctor Who with the boys who loved it. None of the other girls seemed to like it much. Squid is one of the ones where they kill people. That's it. The boys and I used to discuss Star Trek as well. Oh, yeah. I remember me and my friend would incessantly talk about Star Trek. But back then, I didn't know that many other people because I guess I was in like a small town. So you're pretty isolated from people that were really into the same things you were if you were sort of a nerdy comic book, Star Trek boy or person or child. Because I thought I was the biggest Star Trek nerd ever. And then I went to a Star Trek convention and realized I was small potatoes. I guess it's like being a big fish in a small pond type thing where certainly in my circles I was the biggest Star Trek or Doctor Who fan, but then you realize in the wider world there are people even more obsessed than you are. One of the times I was most offended by someone was with when I was in my online game, and I was talking to a guy. I think he was in the UK, but his girlfriend didn't believe there was a Star Trek before the Next Generation. Like, but it's called the Next Generation. How can you not believe? That's funny. Yeah, when the Next Generation came out, I was in college, so I was around um, a lot of people, not a lot, but many more people that were interested in Star Trek, and we were just so excited for the. But man, talk about conversations about a show. Mm, The highlights of my childhood were playing in the mud and taking stuff from other kids. Hmm. Were you a bully, Frank? A little at first, but soon the tables were turned. I think that happens a lot. I was bullied by some girls, but I was popular with the boys because I was a tomboy. That happens a lot, you know. It's a little different for boys that are really effeminate because they're often very popular with the girls, um, or have like a lot of girlfriend or friends that are girls. um, but it's still you can get bullied that way. At least in my day, you can recite those old show lines for lines, which is unbelievable. Yes, and all the little details they know at the conventions. Everyone in my high school wanted to fight me for no reason. Ah, bullies who just want to impress their girlfriends. I remember being quite upset by the Star Trek episodes Charlie X as a child. I always wish the next generation had done a Charlie episode. You know what one of my favorite characters from the original Trek was Harry Mudd. And they were planning on doing a sorry, I'm just picking out a Harry Mudd movie, which I would have so much been into. I would have loved that so much, but the actor playing Harry Mudd passed away. So it would have been like, you know, Ricardo Montalban coming back for Rathacon. I don't know the name of that actor, but I believe he was like a gay man secretly, because during that time there weren't any out gay people. I mean, heck, there were people like Charles Nelson Riley and Rip Torn, who were obviously flamboyant gay men, but they never came out as gay. It's funny. Of course, Paul Lind is in that group. I don't know about lesbians though. I mean, I think it's more acceptable to be, I was going to say butch, but to be a tomboy than to be sort of a tomboy girl as opposed to a sissy boy, effeminate boy. Or man. I mean, we're talking about Charles Nelson Riley. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Man, this looks like neon in person, but it's kind of faded. Oh, okay. It's been happening for 1,000 years at least, but the media only discovered bullying was a big problem in schools about 15 years ago. Well, I would say maybe trying to combat it. Tab Hunter was gay, surprised to find that out. Rock Hudson, of course. Some tomboys still turn me on. Yeah, there's something about girls, like masculine girls, that are treated a lot differently than, yeah, adult ones. Um, okay. I'm just going to put some chunky glitter on top of this. Yeah, my mind is going to trying to think of sort of masculine women in Hollywood, old Hollywood. I keep thinking of the Ma and Pa Kettle movies. Ma Kettle was pretty unconventional, we shall say. Then there's that movie Calamity Jane with Debbie Reynolds. No, Doris Day. Okay. When I did my library tech course, about half the students were sci-fi fans. I used to buy DS9 and Voyager videos as they were released before airing on TV, and I would then lend them to the other students. So that's cool. Never got into Voyager. I really loved Deep Space Nine. I think each video passed about between 8 to 9 people before being returned to me. Now you want to see something, you just punch it up in your mom's faves. Our giant in The Sound of Music and also loves Tom Cruise movies. Hillary Swank. Oh yeah, girls, boys don't cry. Is that story? Really good movie. I mean, the only thing is, at the time it was released, there just wasn't many happy stories about gay people, especially trans, or LGBT people, especially trans. I mean, you really can't complain about that movie because it's based on a real, true life story. But it's a shame there weren't other happy stories to sort of balance out the depiction of trans people on in the media. That came out a long time ago, didn't it? God, sometimes it just feels like yesterday when we're talking about some of these things. Okay, let me just get. Oh, Hillary Swank is having twins. I hated musicals, including The Sound of Music. My mother used to make me watch them. Oh, that's so sad. It's a big cult now. They have viewing festivals. I think it was always a big film, not just cult film. Well, maybe if it's a sing along, that makes it a cult. But I remember it's one of those movies for those of us who grew up during the pre-streaming, pre pre-cable, where there's just some movies, excuse me, that you can only catch when it aired once a year. And if you missed it, you had to wait a year before you could see it again. But one of them was Sound of Music, the original Wizard of Oz, um, Auntie Mame. I remember having to see that as a kid, but you can only watch it like that one time a year, usually around the holidays. Monty Python the Holy Grail turns 50. Ay, ay, ay. Excuse me. That's so weird, just about musicals. Python doesn't hold up well on repeated viewings. It's been a while since I've seen some of the old ones, but sorry. I feel like something got caught in my throat. But I do remember watching like Life of Brian repeatedly in college. I remember when I first saw Holy Grail, I was probably too young, but it was on PBS, and I nearly peed my pants. I thought it was so funny. No, I probably wasn't too young. I was high school age, 14, 15. Something. Okay. Move on. Watched Python, the Holy Grail about 100 times and still love it. Most quoted movie in the house. It has so many Python movies have such great quotes. Life of Brian. Oh, it was so sacrilegious. It only averages 2 viewings a year. Yeah, I wasn't a theater kid, but I always loved musicals. I always liked them. Love the spaceship scene from Life of Brian. The case of Ex Machina. The maybe the spaceship. Because at the end, doesn't everyone get crucified? I mean, that's one of the best scenes, or the best endings, which is kind of a musical, Lynette, where they're always singing, looking on the bright side of life while being crucified. Oh my gosh. I'm actually not sure the definition of musical. Because sometimes sometimes the music, when they break into song, it doesn't make any sense if it actually happened in the real world. But some musicals seem to have, or some movies seem to have, like music, but it makes sense that they're singing a song, like if they're doing it for the radio or something. I can quote the whole movie of Spinal Tap. Now that's what I'm talking about, Lex. It's like Spinal Tap has a lot of music in it, but it's not really a musical. I love Spinal Tap. That's the song you want to play at your funeral. I love that. Ex Machina. Oh yeah, the movie Ex Machina is a great sci-fi movie. Outraged some people, even some people I know. Well, like we said, it is sacrilegious. They did not hide that fact. It's going to have Barber's audio for strings at mine, but not now. Too cliche. No, I haven't even thought about anything like that for me. Okay. We'll have a Yeats poem read. The other song I want at my funeral was At 17 by Janice Ian. I'm not sure. I'd have to listen to that. Hey, Lex came out with 21 books from Half Price Books, and some of them are on your list. Yay! Okay. I was 17 when At 17 was released. Okay. So, Lex, what book are you going to read first? I couldn't even carry that many. Well, I assume that many of them are paperbacks and not 21 hardcovers, because that would be quite a hefty haul. Okay. Gotta go. Gonna sort them, and I'm gonna read Someone You Can Build a Nest In. Yay! That's on a used bookstore. That's a new release. I'm surprised it's in a used bookstore. Yeah, that's really a fun, unusual story. Just Just want to bring the blue down. Happiness building. My heaviest book weighs about almost 7 pounds. Wow. And I'm going to say dictionary or encyclopedia. Have you seen those Oxford dictionaries? Sometimes they're like 2 volumes. They're huge. Okay, I am done with the eyes. Move on to the lips. Should I do blue lips? Encyclopedia of Mammals. Yeah, I'm thinking dictionary, encyclopedia, that type of thing. I'm going to do blue lips. Oh, there we go. Complete Calvin and Hobbes is heavier. That's 3 volumes. I don't think they're still around. I also own the complete annotated Sherlock in 3 volumes. Yeah. I was a huge fan of the Peanuts comics, the Snoopy and Charlie. Snoopy and Charlie Brown and those guys, to the point where I thought I was going to be a cartoonist. When I was young, like by young I mean like 10 years old, 11 years old. Only problem was I wasn't a great artist. I even had some like super. I collected all the Peanuts books, but my fifth grade teacher gave me some really old vintage, even at that time in the 70s, Peanuts books. I think my father probably just threw away, but they probably were worth something because they were like, I mean, you would barely recognize Snoopy and Charlie Brown. They were written so, or drawn so differently than what they became. Okay, I'm going to. Well, it's blue. Okay. Calvin Hobbes was years ago. Sherlock is always worth having. He refused to allow Calvin Hobbes merchandise, the author. Didn't want to sell out. J.D. Salinger refused to sell Catcher the Rye to Hollywood. Yeah, Charles Schultz, the creator of Peanuts, was not adverse to advertising. I don't know. If I was a I don't think I would have a problem selling out to things like stuffed animals and whatnot. Okay, so I think we're done for the makeup part. I still need to put on lashes, which I can't forget again. I get some big money in the franchise. It's a merchandise, but some franchises really overdo it. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I really don't begrudge any creator for monetizing their IP. But yeah, sometimes it can go overboard. But like I said, I would, if I was a creator, I would love to have a stuffed animal of my creator, of my creations, or a bobblehead doll. I would love a bobblehead. And of course, there's things like t-shirts. What are some weird ones? I think for the Peanuts, the weirdest one, and it really was a sellout, was life insurance. What does Snoopy and Charlie Brown have to do with life insurance? Especially the Harry Potter franchise. Well, they have a whole amusement park. Harry Potter just, I mean, she didn't become a billionaire just from the books. Funko Pops. You have astronaut Snoopy Funko Pop. I love it. Oh, the flash just went. Just went wonky. think I saved it. Joan Jett turned down $1 million to use one of her songs in a TV ad. She realized later she'd been a fool. Yeah, that's a lot of money. Yes, Lori, your time for the end. We're doing blue. These lips look okay. I'm getting paranoid about these lips. And let's put on some jewelry. Since we did do pink eyes, we're going to do a pink necklace. And you guessed it. My blue wigs. And we'll throw on some gloves. Oops. Thank you, Frank. Yeah, you don't see blue. I think there's a reason why, but love the eye. Thank you. It's worth the time taken. How did I go so long? I think we've just been chatting so much this episode that, because it usually doesn't take me 90 minutes to finish up this makeup. Okie dokie. Let's put on. Ta-da. When I was a teenager, black lipstick became a thing. When I was a teenager, I think there was like a goth, sort of the goth movement around, but it didn't really come to my high school. I don't know why. I think we're just too small of a town. I grew up in a small western town in Maryland. Our graduating class was like 150, and it was mostly sort of this farming community. They grew a lot of corn and cattle or milk cows, because I was like in the honor society. There was like 9 people in the whole school, but then you open up the FFA, which is Future Farmers of America. It was like this double wide spread of, half the school was in Future Farmers. Anyway, so this is the final look. I think it looks okay. I think I've done similar looks like this before, but I'm happy with this. Today I want to film sort of the bookends around the top 100 fantasy and science fiction videos, because I want to put them all together. And I'm either going to do Shelve It or Shove It for February, or the picking the old Hugos from 1939. So we'll see. Maybe I'll do them all. I don't know. Anyway, thank you so much for stopping in for this Saturday. Have a great week. Lori is very goth, or black lipstick before the goths. Wow. Maybe it's an Australian thing. This hair is like a cloud. Yes, it is. Okay, I hope to see you guys next week. And as always, may all your books be blessed.